Here we go. It's the Vol Report with Jacob Warren, still sporting the stash. He looks like Tom Selleck and Magnum PI, but I'm so old he doesn't know who that is.
Oh, man.
The Vol Report brought to you by Vassey Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. So I think of Tom Selleck when I think of stash, and we're going to talk about camp essentially closing, getting ready for Virginia, and the latest on Cooper Mays. But when you think stash, who's the most popular stash of your generation?
So the mustache kind of like blew up right when Top Gun Maverick came out, which was what, last year?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is that it?
Obviously, Tom Cruise, like the Top Gun's not a new thing at all, right? But it came back out and it was super popular amongst my generation, I guess. So everybody started shaving the mustache. So for a while there, you couldn't even wear a mustache without being like, "Oh, you're trying to be like Top Gun." But now it's kind of died off a little bit. So I don't know. That one, that's the one I definitely think about whenever I think about the stash.
And you went back and watched the first one too and loved it, right? Or already loved it?
I mean, I've seen it before. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good movie. I love the movies.
I had a VCR. It was the only movie I had when I was a freshman in the dorm at UT. So I have watched that movie probably 200 times.
Yeah.
If you ever are short a line from that movie and you're like, hey, what did Maverick say at minute 108?
I'll reach out.
Just call me. I can tell you. It's, talk to me, Goose. That's essentially what it is. So,
Right.
a lot of that. I guess camp is essentially closed, which I think a lot of people think of camp being closed right before game week. But Josh Heupel said that you kind of go into a different phase. He said that on Monday. So what's the different phase the remainder of the week before you get into game week prep against Virginia?
Yeah. So I mean, you have a week of game practices, everything like that. I think this next week is more preparation for a game week, right? So there's we've talked about it last season a lot about just your process, right, and the way that you handle your business from Sunday to Saturday, right? The big days on Saturday, but the next game really starts the next Sunday, right after the game's over. So this next week is just a time to kind of figure out how we as individuals, handle a game week, how you take care of your body, because we'll be doing practices that kind of mimic what we'll be doing next week for the actual game week. So, get an understanding of how a Monday practice flows, and then a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a Friday practice. Just kind of get an idea of how it feels on our bodies and kind of what we need to do to prepare ourselves for, the real thing next week.
So how are you feeling? I know they've been maybe a little bit easier on you because you're a known commodity.
Sure.
Is that safe to say?
That's safe to say. Yeah, I think that once you kind of reach that point in your career at a place where you know it's a risk reward thing, right? Where you don't want to risk getting a guy hurt, or you don't want to risk kind of blowing his legs out, or just wearing him down before the season gets here. But you also want your guys to get valuable reps, right? And they want McAllen and Ethan and obviously like Joe and our good running backs and all those things. You want these guys to get really valuable reps so that we can get better, right? So we can really practice the things we're going to be doing on Saturdays, and also just continue to develop our craft and get better at the technical things that we need to develop. So yeah, there's kind of a balance between how many reps does he need to get in order to be able to get a lot of good work, but also kind of take care of him and be ready for the season.
So how good do you feel when they take it a little bit easier on you? How fresh do you feel as opposed to maybe previous years?
I mean, we definitely still did camp, right?
Yeah, it's not like you went around and jogged on the treadmill for a couple of weeks.
It wasn't just veteran days is what we call them. Because like a veteran guy's been around for a while. Vet day is what we call it. It wasn't just vet days every day, right? But there's definitely moments where they can take care of you a little bit in our team periods and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, body still feels great, man. I think that that was one of my big concerns coming back for 6 years was just the way that my body would hold up and how I would feel and all these things. And obviously, you talk like this now because I'm a 6 year in college, but the moment you get to the next level, you're back to being a rookie, right? And it's your first year, and everybody wishes they had as fresh as legs as I'll have. But yeah, man, I feel good. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to starting the season and just trying to stay healthy and just play really well.
You guys were really fortunate last year, I guess, with the exception of Cedric Tillman. You're really healthy, and You got camp this year, and I don't want to get into the specifics of the injury out of respect for Josh Heupel in the program, and
Yeah.
that's his policy. But when Cooper Mays is absent, um, what does that mean when he's absent off the field, and how does that affect the football team? Because I know he's a big leader, just like you are.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you know Coop, and people that watch the show probably watch Coops as well, and know Coop, and he brings more than just a really good center, right? He brings a guy that everybody trusts and looks up to and gets along with, right? Like I don't think there's anyone on the team that he's got bad blood or doesn't like talking to. So he brings a guy that just kind of brings everybody together and is fun to be around. Is a funny guy, but at the same time, is he brings a leader on the field and somebody that we all look to kind of lead and guide and make calls and be the one to set it straight whenever things aren't going right, whatever it may be. So you definitely miss that presence on the field. I think that's where it kind of falls on me, or at least guys like myself and like Joe and other guys on the front that are the leaders on the offense that can kind of bring things together, can rally everybody. Now that we're down a guy, whatever. In that leadership regards, we kind of have to pick up some slack, but yeah, man, he's definitely missed in a lot of ways.
He told me that he could still be a leader in terms of getting the guys to play more physical and push them from the sideline. And I didn't doubt that for a second. I mean, Cooper seems like the type of guy that if he says you got to kick it up a notch, that
Mhm.
I'm going to kick it up a notch.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of it, man. That's part of being injured. I think in football is tough when you get injured because you kind of feel like you lose. Um, for some people, I guess your identity kind of gets wrapped up in this thing, right? And it's like, okay, if I'm not playing football, if I'm not on the field, what do I do? Like, who am I? What's my role? How do I fit into this dynamic of this team? But Cooper has done and will do a great job of continuing to lead, like you said, from the sideline. And when guys come off the field, he'll know exactly what they did wrong, and he'll be able to tell them in an efficient way that will help build them up and will help lead them and guide them and hopefully help them do better. And that's his impact that he'll have while not playing. Obviously, hoping that he gets back as soon as possible.
Let's talk about Ollie Lane for a second,
Yeah.
who you know well, and we talked about him previously, but just in the time since we've talked, how do you feel like he's performed as a potential replacement for Cooper Mace?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I had a conversation with him the other day about him just being him, right? He's gotten to this point, and he's scholarship center at the University of Tennessee. Like he plays in the SEC. He's gotten a lot of significant snaps. Like it's just about him going out there and playing his game and doing him, right? He's not trying to be anybody else. You know what I mean? He's not trying to be Jason Kelsey, right? He doesn't have to do anything special. He just has to go out there. He's got to make calls, make correct calls, and stick with it, trust each other, lead the guys and be that guy that can push the tempo, that can do exactly what Coop does. And he's more than capable, right? So it's just a matter of him unlocking that and going to do it. But I've seen him big steps in just his confidence and his energy at practice, really starting to settle into, what he's been asked to do.
Then you have some other guys, and just tell me if anything stands out about these guys. Addison Nichols, who I've been told has a lot of talent. You have Parker Ball, who's a guy, and then Bison Lang, who's incredibly young. Anything stand out about any of those three guys since they've had more reps?
Yeah, I mean, like you just mentioned, each of those guys have their own things about them, right? Parker's one of my really good friends, and we hang out a lot. And he is similar to me in just his intelligence, right? His knowledge for the game, and like I said, being at center, like it's a big ask, right? Like you're having to identify formations, identify even back end structures and pressures and stuff as well sometimes, and being able to get the O line and the right calls and communicate all these things all on tempo, all while being tired, all while, what I mean, while being physical, usually blocking the biggest guy in the defense and nose guard. So it's tough, but Parker does a really good job with this mental game. And you have guys like Addison who can play pretty much all the positions on the O line. He was playing at tackle the other day. He was playing at guard the other day, and now he's running left center. Like can kind of just plug and play him, and is athletic and can do a lot of different things. And then you got guys like Bison who have all the attributes, right, and just need to kind of come along a little bit and are like you said really young and will learn how to play and will be a really good player. And just needs to kind of learn from Coop, learn from Parker, about just exactly what it is, what call you need to make here, when, why are you making this, what can kind of key you into making this call instead of that. So each of them, man, in their own regard, are really special, and we'll just continue to get better. Hopefully, if we need them, we need them, and they'll be ready to rock and roll.
How much can it help Bison long term in particular, being a freshman, to get some real snaps, not necessarily for this year, but
Yeah.
just get that kind of base level for the upcoming career that he's going to have?
So yeah, that's a thing that is, I guess, exciting, right, for someone who's going to be out of the program soon. Um, I look at guys like Bison, but also like Ethan Davis, right? These young guys that are going to get opportunities to, at least be on the bus, right? At least travel and hopefully, be there and see kind of what it takes to be at this level. Um, we'll get reps, I mean, we'll get opportunities. May fail, may really succeed, but it doesn't really matter, right? At this point, it's just a matter of getting them reps and understanding kind of what it's going to take in the future. And I think that's it's very promising, right? Because when I was a freshman, I was not anywhere near getting reps, right? And I think that having those reps and those experiences really early on in my career would have, helped me kind of progress a little bit quicker. But obviously, everybody's on their own journey. But it'll be good for them to kind of see, like I said, just what it takes.
I know preseason camp is really about you as a team and getting younger players ready and refining your game on an individual basis. But how much do you talk about the opener in preseason camp, which is Virginia and Nashville? How much is that a factor in what you do?
No, you don't game plan for them at all, but you definitely, there's moments where it just kind of comes up, right? Where it's, hey, like for week one versus Virginia, this isn't going to fly, or we got to get this going before week one versus Virginia, right? Just because that's the first game on the schedule, that's what everybody's looking forward to. September 2nd, we're going to be in Nashville. This can't happen. We can't still be doing this 2 weeks away from Nashville. Like just different things where coaches referencing it or players are referencing it, whatever. But yeah, the real game plan stuff doesn't start till probably this week, right? Whenever we're going into these mock game weeks.
So you don't really know that much about Virginia right now, other than maybe what you've watched on your own.
Yeah, right. It's purely just at this point moving forward. Now we can focus on the season start, and you know, fall camps in the past. It's now season time.
Do you like that approach? Because there was a time in the 90s, and I'm old. By the way, I got my first senior citizen discount.
Yeah, here we go.
Did I tell you about that already?
Yeah, you told me about that. Where were you?
I was a buddies.
Nice.
Got 10% off an iced tea. It wasn't worth the embarrassment. But anyway, I'm old. And back in the 90s, I know that Tennessee spent a lot of preseason camp getting ready for guess who? Florida,
Yeah.
which wasn't always the first game of the season.
Right.
Tennessee had to get over that hump. How nice is it to just focus on you and not worry about another opponent, knowing that there's still time for that?
Yeah. End of the day is like that's not what matters right now, right? It is because we're working on things that will help us, win those games, right? We're working on the fundamentals. We're working on our tempo and different plays that we might run against whoever. But end of the day, it doesn't matter because we're not playing them this Saturday, right? I think like we will have time to prepare. A week is fully enough time to watch the film and install the plays and all that stuff. So when those weeks come, that's when we'll focus on it. But yeah, being able to just truly focus on just myself, just my teammates, my offense, my team in general, has been great over the past few weeks. Obviously, it's not necessarily the most fun only hitting your teammates all the time and going against the same guys every day. It gets kind of repetitive. It gets kind of whatever. But yeah, it'll be good to kind of be able to focus on someone else now after a little while of just being focusing inward.
Squirrel White was named one of the top freak athletes in the nation. Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, usually that goes to like a Darnell Wright type who's big and can move. You think of that as freak size speed ratio.
Right.
Why do you think it went to Squirrel? What makes him a freak athlete?
He just pops off the tape, dude. Like just the way he moves, first of all, just how fluid he is when he runs, and just purely how fast he is really special. And I think you had a guy like Jalen Hyatt last year who was a freak in his own regard, right? And could just run by people and is continuing to do it at the next level, which is amazing to see. But you have a lot of buzz and a lot of hype around, this style of slot receiver right now because of what Jalen Hyatt was able to do last year. And so, yeah, Squirrel definitely has a big role to step into, and people are noticing it, and people have noticed his speed and his talent, and are just excited to see it. So I guess that's kind of bringing more attention to him, and it's great because he's going to show up and he's going to do, he's going to do his thing, right? He'll be just fine.
Who else is freaky? The Vol Report brought to you by Vassey Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. They've got the mowers that you can come from Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga. They're in Cleveland, Tennessee. They'll save you money with their buying power. Toro, count on it. So who else is freaky? Because it was this time last year that Cooper told me about Darnell Wright. And I was like, yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Right,
Well, he was right. Who else is freaky athletically?
In my opinion, Jalen Wright is extremely freaky just because he came in does not look like what he came in at right now, right? He's been here for 2 years and looks like a totally different guy, right? And just the way he moves, jumps, runs through people right after contact, yards after contact, all those things are pretty crazy. And then, I think of guys like Brew McCoy too, who are just so big. Like Brew is a massive, like big, stout, muscular dude, but runs so well, runs so fluid, gets in and out of his breaks, great hands, just a true athlete and someone that's going to be extremely crucial for our success. And we got guys like that like all over the place, so it'll be exciting to watch all of them go to work.
Wait now, I don't want to get you in trouble. You picked all offensive dudes.
That's okay.
Who on the defensive side is freaky?
Defensive side. Well,
You mentioned Joseph's would be one, I would think.
Joseph's 100%. James Pierce 100%. A lot of those guys on the defensive front. I mean, guys like Keenan Peely who are way, way faster than they should be, like way stronger, like super big. Like these guys that just kind of have it all put together, right? I think Keenan's gonna play a really big role just because of, again, how smart he is and played a lot of ball. Really, really, physical, a big front linebacker, but also can cover sideline to sideline and do a really good job, out in space. So we got guys that love it plays. Gabe Judy Lally, who was our transfer from BYU, Vanderbilt. Obviously, we talked about him, but just so physical. Like, will kind of pop out and stand out on that regard of him wanting to come down the hill and get involved in the run game, but also being able to, take on blocks on the perimeter and make plays out in space too. So yeah, we got, like I said, we got guys all over the place.
That's my favorite. That's my new favorite dude. And the reason was he had a quote that said, I don't care if I start necessarily. I want to play wherever I can help and I want to win.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty tight for a transfer. Transfers used to be problem childs.
Sure.
And now they're supplements. And I thought that was I thought that was the best quote of the offseason, quite personally.
Sure. And that's really how he believes, man. He's here to win. That's how a lot of our transfers are. John Campbell, the other day at practice, was like, man, like, I just want to win, dude. Like, I've come here because of this winning culture here that is so historic. And just because of you guys, right? I just heard great things about how, you guys operate. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to win and I'm here to love on you guys. So I think that's why a lot of our guys that have transferred can come in. That's why they're here, man. They're here to win games and they're here to just play their role. And whatever that may be, they're just excited to be a part of it.
Jacob Warren, the one, the only. We appreciate it, buddy. Have a great it's not game week yet, but you're getting there. So enjoy preparation and look forward to visiting with you closer to the game against Virginia. It's almost here, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
He is Jacob Warren. I'm Dave Hooker, brought to you by Vassey Lawn and Garden, the Vol Report. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.